here we're going to do a plank cobra child's pose flow. It should be suitable for our postnatal women, particularly once you're more than a couple of months postnatal, but I can give some modifications so you can do it earlier, just not suitable for those less than 6 weeks post C-section. It's suitable for our preconception crowd as well, and our prenatals could do a modified version. You can't come into cobra because you're not going down onto the belly if you're past about 8 to 10 weeks or so, because the baby is no longer completely contained within the pelvis, so we're just not risking going onto the belly, directly onto the belly like you do in cobra. But you could just play between a gentle version of plank and child if you would like to play along, or just skip this one and find another video that suits you better. So to start, we're going to be on our hands and knees, nicely aligned with joints of the arms all neatly stacked, wrist, elbow, shoulder, stacked under each other. We're also stacking our legs so the knees are underneath the hips, and check in with the ankles so that they're nicely behind the knees, lower legs parallel to each other, and tops of the feet flat on the mat. From here, we're going to inhale, relax the whole belly. Exhale, engage the pelvic floor and core. And I will run through slower on the first round, and then we'll move through a couple of rounds with breath. So on the exhale, you've lifted the pelvic floor. So imagine the cervix lifting in and up towards the spine. You've lifted the navel in and up towards the spine as well. And then you can move with nice core engagement, walking the hands forward. Still on the exhale, so when we do it with the breath, at the start of the exhale we'll get that engagement, and then we'll begin to walk the hands forward. Anyone prenatal might need to move the knees further apart, and you might walk most of the way towards plank or all of the way into it if you're quite strong in your core. Just make sure you're not feeling any compression or strain through the belly, and only work to that level. So you might just go walk, walk, walk a little, and then press back to child's pose. So you would sink the buttocks onto the heels, and extended child's pose with the knees wide is fine. Maybe a prop under you if you need extra space in the belly. So that's got our prenatals covered. Now the rest of us, we're walking forward until we can get a nice straight line from the shoulder through the hip all the way down to the knee. You have the option, if you're quite strong in your core and no unhealed diastasis recti issues, which is mostly just making sure that you can manage the pressure in your abdomen. So even with an unhealed diastasis, as long as you're not getting outward pressure through the midline or downward through the pelvic floor, you could have a go at plank either on your knees or on your toes. On your toes, that straight line would go from your shoulder down the hip and to the ankle. So either one of those could be options, just so long as you can maintain the pressure and you're breathing. If you can't breathe steadily through it, it's a good indicator that it's too strong and you should go back a level. Even if yesterday you were in full plank, today you may not achieve full plank, and all of that's perfectly fine. Just stay really tuned in to what your body needs now. As we've met at the end of our exhale in that plank, your version, and then between breaths we're going to start to lower, keeping the elbows tucked in towards the body, lower all the way down to the belly. Tops of the feet into the mat, points of the hip at the front here, also pressed into the mat, forehead on the mat. You can rest here for a breath or two if you need. Keep the elbows tucked in together, the hands underneath the shoulders, and then when you're ready, you're just going to inhale to use the paraspinal muscles, not the hands, the muscles beside the spine, to lift you up into cobra. You can take a couple of breaths here on the first round if you'd like, feeling the strength in your spine, feeling the belly press down into the mat. And for our preconception people, that's a bit of a deep abdominal massage for you, might encourage some fresh circulation in and be beneficial as a fertility type pose. And when you're ready, exhale, forehead back to the mat. Another breath here, and then at the start of an exhale, we're getting that core and pelvic floor engagement again. Actually, pelvic floor goes first, then core. Tucking those elbows in, and then powering up to your version of plank. And if that is too much for you, you can come up however you like. You could pop the elbows down and come up that way, pressing up to all fours. Or if you are feeling that nice steady strength and like you can manage your abdominal pressure really well, you can tuck the toes and come up to your version of plank, knees or toes, plank. From there, you're going to lower the knees and come back to that original hands and knees. Then you can exhale to press the buttocks back to the heels. The knees can be close together as long as you're not pregnant, or they can be wide apart, and you just get a different sensation for each. So play around and find what feels good to you, and just lower the forehead to the mat, arms walking or hands walking out long in front. So that's extended child's pose. When you're ready, inhale back up to hands and knees. We're going to move with the breath on this round, and maybe we'll do 2 more rounds. So we've inhaled back to hands and knees, exhale, core engagement, walk the hands forward, coming to plank, your version. Between breaths, we're lowering all the way to the mat, and you can bring your knees down, you can bring the elbows down one at a time. However, you need to get down to cobra. We're going to inhale, lift into cobra. Remember to use those spinal muscles much more than you're using the hands. Exhale back down to the mat. Take a good inhale here, and then on the exhale, engage pelvic floor and core, tuck the toes and come back into your version of plank. And then lower the knees, walk the hands back and exhale, coming into our child's pose. Remembering if you were prenatal that you would just be alternating between plank and child's only. Move with the breath. Inhale, coming back up to hands and knees. Exhale, engage core, plank. Between breaths, lower to the mat. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, back to the mat. Nice deep breath in. On the exhale, engage pelvic floor and core, coming up to plank, lowering the knees. And then on the next exhale, just walking back until you can come to child's pose. One more round. Coming back to hands and knees. Exhaling, engage pelvic floor and core, plank. Between breaths, lowering to the mat. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, forehead to the mat. Nice deep breath in. On the exhale, power back up to plank. When you're ready, lower the knees. Inhale. And then exhale, come back to child's and rest there as long as you need.